Zenimax are once again up to shenanigans, and once again it is about legal stuff and the names of things. You may recall this happened a while back with Mojang and Scrolls. This time though, it is regarding the indie kickstarted game Pray for the Gods. Now, full disclosure, I have actually backed this game with my own money on Kickstarter. It shouldn't really be relevant to this discussion, but you know, might as well throw that out there. And basically, Zenimax's lawyers took issue with the fact that they have Pray in the name, Pray for the Gods, spelt as you would the game Prey, which is out in just a couple of days. And even though the two aren't even slightly the same, or even slightly able to be confused in terms of naming conventions, the developers of Pray for the Gods, No Matter Studios, have been forced to change the spelling to P-R-A-E-Y, so Pray for the Gods still, but that sort of strange A-E spelling that is kind of fairly common in fantasy language. And this comes to us via a blog post on the official website for No Matter, and they said, "Trademark law is what we're dealing with. Unfortunately, Zenimax chose to oppose our mark as they felt both were too similar to their mark Prey. While we disagree with their opposition, we were able to come to an agreement." Now, the spelling of P-R-A-E-Y is actually one of the names they originally sort of toyed with before they chose the sort of more traditional spelling, so they've kind of gone back to that rather than trying to fight this in a court of law. And they said, quote, "We could have fought this and we did think about it for quite a while. Something like a trademark opposition can be long, and depending on how far someone wants to fight it, it can be very expensive. It is really something no starting company should have to deal with, let alone a tiny team of 3. So the fact that we came out the other end intact still developing the game was a win, one that will no doubt shape our company moving forward." Now, this does kind of seem a bit silly on Bethesda's or /Zenimax's part, because again, we're talking Bethesda /Zenimax versus a 3-man team. You know, they had no choice but to go, how about this, and hope that Zenimax said okay, and obviously that's what happened. They haven't had to do like a major name change, which is good because obviously they had a fair amount of marketing with the Pray for the Gods name and also the Kickstarter and everything else. So it would have been a lot of work to sort of undo, I guess. So I'm not going to say they've been, completely evil, because they haven't. That would be silly. But the two aren't even slightly comparable, and you can't say you have ownership over a word like pray, because it's just a word. It's like saying candy, that whole thing before. That fell apart because you can't do that. But in a statement to IGN, a Bethesda rep did say that they didn't really have much of a choice, and basically they claimed they were at risk of losing their Prey trademark, and it isn't acceptable, and that's how trademark law works. And they're not wrong in the fact that if you don't defend a trademark, you will end up losing it, but I don't know enough about trademark law. It's obviously a very complex subject, even for lawyers, and obviously I'm not a lawyer. But I don't know if Pray for the Gods and Prey were similar enough that Pray for the Gods would have actually threatened the trademark, because, again, it's just part of the longer title. If it was called just Pray and then one other word after that, then maybe I can kind of see where they're coming from, but such a long title, maybe you could argue, oh, it's messing with the SEO and autofill and that sort of thing, but still, it kind of leaves a slightly bitter taste in the mouth of, Bethesda with their army of very high-priced lawyers, and these guys who've probably, eaten packet ramen for the last 6 months while they've been working on this game. It does seem a little bit like they bullied them, and obviously, again, these guys don't really have a choice but to do what they asked, because again, Bethesda versus a team of 3 people over a very common word. You can't say you own the word pray any more than you can own the word candy, as already pointed out. I mean, trademark law does very much need sorting out. It is a mess, but I dispute that they didn't have a choice here. The two, I would say, are different enough that they aren't really competing with each other in terms of trademark and that sort of thing, but, I guess we should just be happy that this didn't cost the No Matter guys a ton of money and threaten the development of the game, because it does look very, very good. As I said, I have backed this on Kickstarter, so obviously I really want to see this be made, and I'm happy that this hasn't interfered with that, but it still, again, just leaves a bit of a bitter taste in the mouth, and does kind of tinge a little bit of Bethesda throwing their legal weight around with their army of high-priced lawyers, so, I don't think it helps either that this isn't the first time that they've done this. Obviously, we've seen it again with the whole Scrolls and Mojang thing, and the YouTuber Captain Sparkles, well, he made a mobile puzzle game called Fortress Fallout and was forced to change it to Fortress Fury, even though his game was very easily distinguishable from the series Fallout. So, Zenimax have a bit of a history of being overzealous with this kind of thing, so I think that's why this bothers me so much, to be honest. But I suppose we should just all be thankful that it didn't affect the development again, but still. Really? Come on now. Regardless of that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.